'Cause I feel like I'm falling while I'm dying. Plans falling apart.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is about turning Whiterun into a true trade capital of Skyrim. Now if you know anything about the lore of Skyrim, Whiterun is supposed to be this kind of trade center between all the different sections of Skyrim and all the different provinces, bringing it to Whiterun and distributing it throughout Skyrim. But as far as it went in the actual game, it didn't turn out quite like what the concept art looked like. It looked very bland and boring. So the video that I have today is about transforming it, making it look better. This includes all the outside trees, foliage, the different houses, compacting the city into a more dense, lifelike place, and it adds an outside exterior part of Whiterun that was never actually seen in the final game, except when you look at concept art in that you can see Whiterun is divided into a different section, and it's got a bigger landmass than what it has in the original game. So as you see here, I'm walking through and it's just, you can see there's a few more trees, the foliage is out, and it's a lot brighter than what it used to look like. Oop, pop in. Don't you just hate that? So now with this I have the Project Hippie and simply more trees to make Whiterun feel more alive and more like and just less dead and bland. I'll also have A&A's Skyrim retexture on, which changes everything to a darker wood and a lighter and a blue roof and that kind of thing. So it makes it look a bit better. And then with the exterior here, I'm not even sure which mod this is, but it adds in, I know that the trees come from Project Hippie, but if you see now when I'm walking towards the stables, you'll see that the stables themselves start to look less boring, and it's got more stuff outside. It feels like people are actually coming and setting up outside to start trade, whereas before it again was bland. It looked boring. Well, can't blame Bethesda. I mean, they haven't changed their game engine forever, so it just makes it look better. And then I know there's another mod that I have by BeVeryOfA that changes the exterior here, which is mixed with the Great Cities and JK's Whiterun, which fixes up the walls outside to make the city a bit more fortified, stopping it from being attacked as easily. I should show footage of it now. There we go. You can see the walls in the background have been rebuilt so that the city is more fortified. It's got more fortifications, and it just generally looks more well defended and cleaner. Just makes Whiterun look better. So obviously I have a bunch of other mods on, like the increased towns and village, increased populations for towns and villages, and militia. I've also got guard armor replacer, and I've got rustic weathers on currently, which makes it look like that. And then there's another mod that you're going to see in a minute. It's called Deadly Shadows for PS4, which adds a secret entrance through just under the drawbridge that we walked over. There's a secret entrance into Whiterun that you can sneak into if you're playing as a thief character or something like that. But other than that, it changes a few things, such as it adds bridges across rooftops, it adds abilities to get to rooftops. It just kind of makes thief gameplay more lively. It just makes it worthwhile when you're playing as a thief. Now, as you can see, it's got you can see Whiterun's changed immensely. It's got stalls and it's got a lot of trees and foliage. Just now I'm going to walk through and you're going to see a whole bunch of gardens attached to the backs of houses which weren't there before. But with those gardens, a lot of them have like plots to plant. So there's the alchemy garden outside of Arcadia's Cauldron. Behind the Bannered Mare, there's a animal pen with some chickens and that stuff, kind of giving it a more realistic feel that when you're at the inn, people are actually the people that work at the inn are actually going out and getting stuff from behind the inn and bringing it in and serving it to you. Just makes it feel more immersive. So up there in the background next to that blue roof, you'll see a tusk, a mammoth's head, which is part of the Deadly Shadows. It adds a bridge across the roofs and that kind of thing, which, like I said before, it just helps with the thief gameplay. So anybody else who enjoys playing as a thief will definitely enjoy that mod. So as you can see here, we're going through like the little gardens that are sectioned off throughout the back of Whiterun, which was very, very plain. And now it adds, like I was saying, a whole bunch of plots to put plants in and that kind of thing. It adds a really great place to come to at the beginning of the game, especially if you want to play as like an alchemist or something, to pick up different ingredients and start messing around with potions and that at the very start of the game, which I feel helps a lot. So a few more shots of the gardens at the back here. A lot of houses, like I said, a lot of houses will now have gardens attached to the back that are usable. I know behind Belfort's goods there's a small walled off area where he keeps extra stock, so there's barrels and crates and stuff in the back to just make it feel more alive. Again, up there with the moss hanging off of that pole, that's part of the Deadly Shadows, allowing you to sneak from that rooftop to the next one and assassinate your targets from the air, kind of an Assassin's Creed style. So underneath that bridge there, as you come in, that's where the secret entrance will come out of when you're playing with Deadly Shadows. So there's like a grate that you can go and activate underneath the drawbridge outside, and then what happens is you can come in under the bridge and sneak along the wall to come out behind the blacksmith. So what you're seeing in Whiterun is basically a mix of Project Hippie, JK Skyrim, the Great Cities, and a texture overhaul. So it's like a whole mix of them to kind of bring the whole city together as a whole and make it feel like it's worth visiting. Because I don't know about a lot of other people, but when I'm playing Skyrim, I generally try my best to avoid places like Whiterun because there's nothing to do, they're boring, they're bland. There in the background there's a newly added wall which has steps up to the top to allow you to access rooftops for Deadly Shadows. So with all of these mods on, coming to Dragon's Reach makes it feel more like you're actually coming to a castle. It's grand. It makes you feel small. It makes you feel as though you are just the pleb dragonborn coming to visit a great king, a ruler of a hold, who is engaging in trade with other regions and that kind of thing. It just makes you feel as though you are inadequate until you prove yourself to the Jarl. And around the side here, next to the actual dungeons, there's an execution block. So it adds the executions to Whiterun, whereas it was just in Solitude, which makes no sense, because if capital punishment is a thing in Skyrim, of course there's going to be executions done in Whiterun, in Solitude, in a whole bunch of other places. Main cities I feel would be the most, whereas with smaller cities you would, or smaller towns should I say, you would send them to bigger cities to be executed or to their dungeons. With these mods on the other side of Dragon's Reach, it also adds like a small palace garden, making it feel like the Jarl and his kids don't have to go down and engage with the general public to have a little bit of nature. So they can just go out to the side gardens, into the small palace gardens, and just go and relax and enjoy themselves. So with all of these mods on, Skyforge now finally lives up to its name as one of the greatest forges in Skyrim, and one of the greatest forges ever known to all races in Skyrim. So it's added a whole bunch of like a proper entrance. It's closed off. It feels very private. Feels like more of a sacred space, as how the characters describe it in the game itself. Whereas before it was just an open flat section with a forge, which made nothing special about it. As you can see, there's also stairs now down to Jorrvaskr, and Jorrvaskr now looks like it's worthy of the companions, who are supposedly descendants from Ysgramor. But before, it was very, very boring, and it looked as though it was very shabby and they've done nothing to it. But with the texture overhaul and the foliage, it looks way better than it did before. So that door over there is going to take us out to the new expansion of Whiterun and the outer city. So now we're in the outer city, and the outer city is basically all of the, I would say, the poorer houses, so the more working class people. It is on the side of the hill, so the outer town kind of goes down the hill. There's ladders and pathways and steps, and it just feels very fluid. It feels like you're moving from the richer section of the city into the poorer section. It's less it's not as well defended. It doesn't have great walls. It's more open to attack. But with the door there, it feels as though if something like that had to happen, the citizens on the outside could run into the city, and that great door could be defended. So there is a little bit of like bugginess and clipping here, but I think that's only my game, because I've seen other people's gameplay of this section and it works perfectly fine. I think it might just have something to do with my load order or the way I've installed it, which made it seem which something is conflicting with it. So as you can see here, this is now leading towards the path away from Whiterun. These are the farmers and the poorer houses that are living further outside of the city. It's got the staircases in that leading up from the road, and it's got the building in front of us here is a tavern, and it's got a small blacksmith outside. It's got a guard post, so it is defended, but not as well as the main city itself. And there's also a stable, and it's got a lot of extra features that weren't put into the game. I don't know if it was time constraints or Bethesda being lazy, but whatever it was, it's now in the game and it makes it look better. So thank you guys for watching, and please check out my next video, like and subscribe, and check out these cool screenshots whilst I leave you.